Hello, this is Ben from Agfa, and what we're going to be looking at is the very first tool, which is the Planar UV unwrapping tool. So it's called Planar because when we're in woodwork, we often refer to a planar as a device that basically flattens out a piece of wood. So you'll normally feed wood through a planar and it will flatten it all out. And so these different planes, the X, Y, and Z, are all ways of us UV unwrapping it. So basically what we mean by that is we can take a face that's facing this Y-axis, for example, and say, I want to UV unwrap that. So first things first, I'm going to open up my UV editor to see what it is looking like here. And as you can see, it's not really looking that much. And as we can see, this is all stretched out. Now yours, if it's come in as a plane, will probably already be planar UV unwrapped. But you know, hindsight's 2020. So first of all, let's just talk about the UV editor and how we move around it. So first of all, this square here, the one with the Y and X, that's where we want everything to be. So later on when we look at exporting out UVs, everything needs to be there. So I'm going to grab this, and to move, rotate, and scale is the exact same controls as it is in 3D space. So I'm just going to move this back into this space here. And as I can see, it's not really, I can't rotate it back into view, I can only rotate it on two axes, which is the 2D space. So let's look then to move around in this space as well. If I hold down the Alt key and click on the middle mouse wheel, I can zoom in and out just like I can in 3D space. So that's generally what we're doing here. So I'm just going to move that to the corner there. And now we're going to look at the different tools that come with UV unwrapping. So this one is just going to be planar. Now every single tool you see in here, or most tools, will come with this little box next to it, and that just allows us to get to the options. So if I click here, that should bring up a planar mapping options. And so a few options here that we need to look at. First of all, we need to project from a certain axis. So as I said before, 3D space exists in 3 axes. Y is up and down, X left and right, and Z backwards and forwards depending on where you're facing. So when it's asking for a project from, we need to project from the axes where we're going to actually see the most of the face. In this case, it's the Y-axis, because if we're looking at it from top down on the up and down axis, we can see most of that space. So I also like to keep image width, height, and ratio, and I normally like to go with bounding box. And we go apply. I also make sure that this is not checked. So we want to keep it all as part of the same UV set. So we're going to go apply, and as we can see now, we have this checkerboard with squares. That means that our texture is evenly spaced out. So for example, if I bring this in, switch that off, you can click on here to switch it on again. That basically is showing how it's going to look. So I'm actually going to undo it and go back to what it would look like before the UV unwrap. So when it's just a thing here, and I'm going to apply that same tile material I did in the intro, and when I click away from it, you can see it's this horrible sort of mess. But if I go up and go planar and click away from it, now we've got a nice set of tiles on a floor. So that's how we use the planar. If this face was facing this way, however, I would use, so I'm just going to lock that onto 90 degrees. So if it was this way, now it's not working. Oh wait, it still is working because it's been planar unwrapped. But if, for example, I was to do that same planar, it would now come across all stretched again. Because again, it's trying to see it from this line here and it can't make out that face. So for this one, we'd go to the Z axis. So we go UV, planar, Z axis. And there it is. Okay, so that is pretty much the planar in a nutshell. There is one other thing I'll look at though, and that's that best plane. So let's say it's not on an X or Y. Let's say it's on some weird angle, like a 45-degree angle where it's kind of on both. What I can do is go UV, planar, and then select this one, which is best plane. And you can see here, this has all gone gray now. So it's not actually allowing us to go on any of these axes. It's just going to pick the best plane. If I go apply, you'll see that it's now on a 45-degree angle. So that can get you out of a bit of trouble there as well. Or alternatively, I can also use bounding box camera, and that will basically just go from where the camera is positioned. So if I'm positioned here, for example, it'll sort of look at it from that angle, but if I look at it dead on like this, then it will just look at it from that angle there as well. So that's the planar UV unwrap in all of its wonder and everything. So I'm going to stop this recording, and then we'll start looking at the next one that is there. Cool, excellent.
How many you done?
Just the first one.